Thingkho Le Malcha, by KSO Media and Documentation Cell, issue number 44, Wednesday, 25 October, 2023. Headlines: Kim, Biren's remark on SOO with Métis militant outfit highly suspicious when Métis demand removal of SOO with Kookies groups. CBI secures transit remand of Métis militant for production in Guwahati court to probe MLA Vault's assault case. Falang Village denies false INSA's rifle seizure allegations. Humanity still exists among Kookies, a distressed Métis man set free. HSA urges Manipur Chief Secretary to reinstate Lamsinpao infamous as Farzal DC. Chhattisgarh CM, RSS Chiefs remark on Manipur contradicts Modi government stand. Transnational conspiracy case, NIA court summons for Métis militants to Delhi. State complicity and ethnic cleansing in India. Métis have outgrown their tribal social evolution. Kookies womenfolk hold sit-in protest at Wall of Remembrance site. Thingkho Le Malcha Relief Center update. Zenhang Lamka Relief Center, YPA Hall New Lamka. Managed by Young Paite Association. Total inmates registered, 112. Male, 52. Female, 60. Kuki victims update as on October 16, 2023. Deaths, 146. Villages burnt, 200 plus. Houses burnt, 7,000 plus. Churches and synagogues burnt, 360. Displaced persons, 41,425. Kim, Biren's remark on SOO with Métis militant outfit highly suspicious when Métis demand removal of S.O. with Kookies groups. The Kookie NP Manipur, Kim, on Wednesday stated that Chief Minister, N. Biren Singh's statement on the signing of suspension of operation agreement between the Government of India and one of the Métis militant groups is highly suspicious at a time when the Métis are unequivocally demanding for the removal of SOO with Kookies groups. In a press release issued on Wednesday, Jangalan Haokip, Secretary Information, said on the influx of illegal immigrants, Biren Singh had stated that the state government would not tolerate the influx of illegal immigrants. However, the influx of Myanmar-based Métis terrorist groups into the Impel Valley is critically alarming, he said. Kim stated that even as the state of Manipur is caught in an unprecedented communal warfare between the majority Métis and the minority Kookies communities, the rhetorics of the Métis-led Manipur state leadership, including blatant lies and outrageous propagandas, and of ignorance and arrogance against the plight of the Kookies community continue to ensnare the state with no end in sight. As per 2011 census, the Métis constitute 43.82% of the total population of Manipur, while the Kookies community constitutes merely 15.69% of the total population of the state. It is therefore evidently conclusive that the ongoing ethnic conflict in Manipur is a war of the majority Métis against the minority Kookies community, Kim said. Besides, although the conflict in Manipur is not triggered by religious differences per se, the presence of a religious undertone is irrefutable in the fact that even some Métis churches were attacked by the Métis radicals, it added. Meanwhile, Jangalan said, the irony and hypocrisy of Biren Singh to urge for support and cooperation to maintain the unity and integrity of Manipur is horrendous. It is in fact clear to every fair-minded individual, even from within the Métis community, that Biren Singh-led Manipur state government is complicit in the orchestration and perpetration of the ongoing conflict in the region, he said. The Kuki apex body also stated that Biren Singh has no moral right to express sorrow on the catastrophe of his own doing. At this critical juncture, Biren Singh, the Manipur state government, and the radical Métis must realize the futility of the message of the return of peace and normalcy and the idea of undivided Manipur. Kim further stated that Manipur has collapsed with its law and order and the subsequent persecution of its minorities. The only way forward for peace and normalcy in the region now is the legitimate constitutional and democratic right for a separate administration for the Kookies community, Kim said. The Kookie NP Manipur appealed to all government agencies, media persons, and all concerned groups and individuals of India to help them fight for their constitutional right for justice and equality in the face of the ruthless persecution of the radical Métis. CBI secures transit remand of Métis militant for production in Guwahati court to probe MLA Vault's assault case. The Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, has secured the transit remand of arrested Métis terrorist for his production in a Guwahati court in connection with an arms looting case in Manipur. Morangathe Anand Singh, 45, had been arrested by the National Investigation Agency, NIA, from Impal on September 22 for allegedly conspiring with Myanmar-based insurgent outfits to wage a war against India by exploiting the current ethnic unrest in Manipur. Singh's transit remand had been granted by a Delhi court on October 20, 2023. Singh was arrested by police on September 16 for allegedly possessing arms. He secured bail, following which the NIA arrested him and lodged him in Delhi's Tihar jail. The CBI now wants him in connection with the arms robbery. In another case, the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, is likely to take over the case of mob attack on Thenlon MLA Vungsajan Vault. MLA Vungsajan Vault sustained serious injury when a Meitei mob attacked him on his way back from the chief minister's bungalow at Rims Road on May 5 afternoon. His private secretary succumbed to the mob attack. And Vault is still on a recovery stage in New Delhi. In connection with the incident, police had filed a case and initiated investigation. Reportedly, the case is likely to be handed over to the CBI soon. In the wake of ethnic violence in Manipur, the CBI has so far began probing at least 27 cases including crimes against women. Falang Village denies false INSA's rifle seizure allegations. On the 24th of October 2023, the chief of Falang Village and members of the village authority issued a statement strongly denying the claim made by the Assam Rifles and State Forces regarding the seizure of an INSA's rifle from Falang Village. The allegations were aired on All India Radio, Air, Impulse 7:30 p.m. news broadcast on October 21, 2023. In a joint operation conducted by the Assam Rifles and State Forces, it was initially reported that an INSA's rifle had been seized from Falang Village, located within the Thingkho district. The news report had caused a stir in the local community and beyond. Chief of Falang Village, along with the village authority members, conducted a thorough investigation to ascertain the facts surrounding this incident. Their findings concluded that the alleged seizure of the INSA's rifle never occurred, labeling the claim as baseless, fabricated, concocted, and a made-up story. The statement further emphasized that the intent behind the false claim was an attempt to tarnish and malign the image of innocent villagers and the people in the area. It stressed that the Falang community has always been peace-loving, promoting peaceful coexistence with various communities. In light of these developments, the Falang village authorities have warned and appealed to the Assam Rifles and State Forces to promptly clarify this matter and refrain from making such false, baseless claims or allegations in the future. The Falang community urged the involved authorities to uphold the principles of a highly civilized society and maintain their status and favorable image. The statement also contained a plea directed at the media fraternity. It urged them not to resort to the dissemination of concocted and fabricated stories, as such actions could mislead innocent people and citizens of the country. Humanity still exists among Kookies, a distressed Meitei man set free. Leading an example of communal harmony months after violence in the northeastern region of Manipur, residents of a Kooki village of Langnam, Tausam and Tamenglong helped a distressed Meitei person reach home safely. The distressed person, identified as Yaiko Mapaksana Meitei of Impal East, was caught up in a distressing situation after he had lost money due to theft, leaving him with no means to return home. The residents of Kooki village of Tamenglong immediately brought him to safety and informed Assam Rifles, Kadamtala for assistance. The Assam Rifles along with the Jiribam police established the Meitei person's identity and promptly informed his family and local police station about his safety. On the morning of October 23, the distressed man was safely dispatched to his home in Impal East. It is also pertinent to recapitulate how on May 7, Kooki women formed a human chain in Churachandpur town to protect people of the majority Meitei community from a mob to help them board army vehicles, which were at a distance, during the recent violence in Manipur. The Kooki women ensured that no harm was inflicted on the Meiteis who were being evacuated after the ethnic conflagration escalated. A video of the incident went viral on social media soon after. The humane act of the Kooki women reinstates human empathy at the face of ethnic belligerence. Linthoy Chanu, AX, Twitter, user, wrote on a microblogging site that while a lot of X, Twitter, users are reporting communal hate and worsening inter-community ties, Meitei people, who are a minority in Churachandpur, have come on record to say that they have been protected by the Kooki community. HSA urges Manipur Chief Secretary to reinstate Lalramsang Infamat as Farzal DC. Drawing attention to the recent publication of the transfer and posting order of Lalramsang Infamat, the Deputy Commissioner of the Farzal District, to Impal by the Government of Manipur, the Mar Students Association, HSA, has written to the Chief Secretary of Manipur to reinstate Lalramsang Infamat to Farzal DC again. Lalramsang Infamat was transferred from his role as Deputy Commissioner of Farzal District to the position of Joint Secretary, YAS, on 16th October 2023. In the letter, HSA stated that Infamat's new posting is slated to be in Impal, a location that is still fraught with uncertainties for the Kookizomi Mar Mizo communities due to the absence of a lasting peace agreement or a resolution to the prevailing violence in Manipur. There is not a single Kookizomi Mar Mizo community left in Impal. The Kookizomi Mar Mizo have evacuated Impal because it is no longer safe for them. Additionally, the ongoing ethnic cleansing continues to be carried out by the Meitei community against the aforementioned communities. So, assigning Lalramsang Infamat, from the Mar community, a new position in the heart of Impal could put him and his family in jeopardy, HSA said. HSA stated that during his brief tenure of just 4.5 months as Deputy Commissioner, Infamat proved himself as one of the most diligent and dedicated civil servants who worked tirelessly for the welfare and development of the people of Farzal District. His commitment to his duties and the well-being of the community was evident in the positive changes that transpired during his tenure. Reinstating Lamsinpao Infamat as Deputy Commissioner of Farsal District would not only benefit the district but also serve as a testament to the government's commitment to ensuring the well-being of its citizens, especially in areas that need it the most. Chhattisgarh CM, RSS Chiefs remark on Manipur contradicts Modi government stand. The Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh and Congress leader, Bhupesh Baghel, has alleged that RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat's comments on Manipur contradicted the stand of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government on the matter. A day after RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat questioned if extremists from across the border were among those who committed violence in Manipur, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel on Wednesday alleged that there is a contradiction in words of Bhagwat and those of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Baghel said the BJP government asserts that borders are secure under its rule while the RSS chief was pointing to role of external elements. On one hand, the Prime Minister says that Indian borders are safe but the RSS chief says that external forces are involved in it, said Bhupesh, and added that there are contradictions in the words of Modi and Bhagwat. While addressing the annual Dussehra rally in Nagpur on Tuesday, Mohan Bhagwat hinted at the role of external elements behind the unrest in Manipur. He had stated that Meiteis and Kookies were living together for a long time there. It is a border state. Who benefits from such secessionism and internal conflict? Outside forces also benefit. Were people from outside involved in what happened there? Meanwhile, the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, ITLF, had questioned why were there no clashes between the majority Meiteis and Kookies tribals in all the years before the BJP and CM Biren Singh came to power. ITLF asked, why did Meiteis belligerence become pronounced and quickly intensify during Biren Singh's tenure? Why was AFSPA recently removed only in Meitei-dominated districts and not in tribal areas? Why was the government notification of 1966 regarding reserved and protected forests under the Indian Forest Act, 1927 suddenly implemented in 2023, without following procedures laid down by the Act, which includes consulting the stakeholders? Asserting that N. Biren Singh is the main instigator in the violence, the ITLF also claimed that what Manipur witnessed in the past few years was a highly coordinated assault on the rights and protections that tribals enjoyed under the constitution, all in the name of preserving and extending the Meiteis domination of minorities. Transnational conspiracy case, NIA court summons 4 Meitei militants to Delhi. The special judge NIA, Manipur handed over a transnational conspiracy case of Manipur to the special court NIA, New Delhi to proceed with further proceedings of the case. An application for transferring the case records of the Porompat police station case from the special judge NIA Manipur to Delhi court was heard on Tuesday before the special judge NIA, Manipur. During the hearing, the special public prosecutor of the NIA submitted that according to the directions of the Ministry of Home Affairs, a case of transnational conspiracy was registered in NIA headquarters, Delhi on July 7 under sections 120B, 121A, and 122 IPC and section 18, 18B and 39 of UAP Act, 1967. Submitting the case, the special public prosecutor of the NIA stated that the offense pertains to the transnational conspiracy hatched by Myanmar-based leadership of terror outfits operationally active in the northeast Indian states to exploit the current ethnic unrest in Manipur to wage war against the government of India and execute the terror attacks, thereby exacerbating the current situation of Manipur. It was further submitted that the Chin Myanmar module of NSCNIM, based in Myanmar under the leadership of Hangshar Tangkhul and Absalom Tangkhul, have decided to extend support to the proscribed KYKL under the leadership of N. Okan, chairman of KYKL, and PLA under the leadership of MM Guba, the acting president of PLA, to infiltrate their cadres into the Indian territory for carrying out attacks in India. For this purpose, NSCNIM leadership has promised safe passage, along with arms, ammunition, explosives, and other hardware to Manipur-based proscribed organizations. It was also submitted that these outfits have also been tasked to identify, recruit, and train impressionable youths and get them involved in the ongoing violence with the larger goal of destabilizing the security situation in Manipur and further waging war against the Indian government. It was also submitted that to fuel conspiracy, 2 modules of heavily armed KYKL cadres have entered Manipur. The Porompat police station had registered an FIR on September 16 against one Moarangatha Anand, Athakpam Kajat alias Kishorjit, Lukrakpam Michael Manganka, Kanthajam Romajit Meitei, and Kesham Johnson under UAP Act and IPCs. The police arrested them along with arms, ammunition as well as camouflage attire. Considering the gravity of offences and their repercussions on national security and international linkages, the Government of India stated the urgency of investigation by NIA in accordance with the NIA Act, 2008, and directed NIA to take up the case from Porompat police station. After hearing the submission, the special judge NIA, Manipur opined that since the case has been handed over to the NIA, Delhi, it would be proper to conduct further proceedings of the case before the special NIA court, New Delhi. Therefore, the case records from Manipur were directed to be handed over to the special NIA court, New Delhi. Further, the court stated that Moarangatha Anand is already in NIA's custody, so the rest accused persons, namely Athikpam Kajit, Lukrakpam Michael Manganka, Kanthajam Ramajit Meitei and Ksham Johnson are directed to appear before the Special NIA Court, Delhi. State complicity and ethnic cleansing in India. Although continuing to receive minimal attention globally, the security situation in Manipur in the northeast fringe of India continues to disintegrate. Activist documents received by the Byline Times depict a region that is beset by intertribal conflict. Some political observers regard it as an act of state-sponsored ethnic cleansing led by Hindu Meitei groups against minority Christian ones, implicitly aided by the state government. In a speech in the Indian Parliament in August, Mahua Moitra, an MP from West Bengal, stated that Manipur now exists in an atmosphere of civil war, of ethnic violence that has rarely been seen in India in the past decades. This is a tacitly approved hate crime. She also criticized the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who believes that the Manipur situation is not serious, for telling any dissenters to Raho Chup, keep quiet. The current Chief Minister of Manipur is from Modi's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. Taking sides. Fighting between tribal groups in the region began in early May, pitting Hindu Meiteis against predominantly Christian Kuki and other tribal groups, such as the Zo. This violence was seen as having been initiated by the Meitei who are from the valley districts and are attacking these other tribals who are in the hill areas. Making the situation more serious, the Manipur police commandos have openly sided with the Meitei, precipitating confrontations with India's central security forces, such as the Assam Rifles. Over 40,000 central security forces have been deployed in Manipur since the violence began. Within this mix, observers have noted the total collapse of law and order in the valley districts with armed men, from banned Meitei terrorist groups attacking civilians and ransacking homes and businesses. Some of these groups, such as the separatist Universal Friendship Organization, UFO, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, and the Arambai Tengal, have crossed into India from Myanmar via its porous and unfenced border. Other long dormant, and officially banned, groupings are also becoming more active. Many of them use extortion, illicit taxation, drug smuggling and trafficking to finance their activities, including the purchase of guns, ammunition, mortars, explosives and rocket launchers. The production of opium across Manipur is another source of their revenue. The Meiteis have also either looted or been given weapons by the Manipur police commandos and have been seen wearing police uniforms when attacking Zo tribal areas. Besides this apparent complicity with state power apparatuses, the orchestration of Meitei violence has led to allegations of ethnic cleansing against the Kuki and Zo. Underpinning this are narratives from Meitei leaders and intellectuals that these tribes are outsiders who came to settle in Manipur. Such claims, even though inaccurate, rationalize the current displacement of over 60,000 Zo, over 2% of Manipur's population, into relief camps, where there is a scarcity of food, mass unemployment and a ban on internet access from May to the present. Observers also note the risk of disease outbreaks such as measles, chicken pox, dengue and Japanese encephalitis. Atrocities of the Meiteis involved shootings, abductions, extortion, sexual attacks, and arson. Houses, properties, schools and churches of other ethnic tribes have also been vandalized, ransacked, torched and illegally occupied. By mid-September, over 350 churches, 4,550 houses and 257 settlements had been burned. In some cases, tribal localities have been renamed with Meitei names. Legal advocates representing Zo individuals have also been intimidated and forced to withdraw from judicial cases. Although mainly ethnic in nature, attacks on churches highlight an anti-Christian animosity within the current conflict, especially the predominantly Christian Kuki. Notably, the Muslim Pangal population in Manipur, although adopting the Meitei language and socially integrating with the Meitei majority, have also been attacked. This population were the target of the anti-Pangal riots in 1993 that left over 130 dead and were led by the Meitei. These attacks by Hindu Meitei echo wider anti-Christian and anti-Muslim sentiments present within the BJP and underscore a blending of political views, further reinforcing divisions, and again pointing to state complicity. More than 2,000 government employees across government departments, both the Meitei and the Zo, have been forcibly transferred to other districts, formalizing demographic splits. Senior Zo police and military officers have also been replaced by those from the Meitei community. The Editors Guild of India, EGI, has also noted the widespread biased reportage by Meitei news media and the open proliferation of misinformation by Meitei propagandists. Separatist demands. In response to this situation, United Nations experts from the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights have raised concerns about serious human rights violations and abuses in Manipur. The experts pointed to an inadequate humanitarian response to the conflict and highlighted crimes of sexual violence, extrajudicial killings, destruction of homes, forced displacement, torture and ill-treatment towards the Kookies. British MP Jim Shannon also stated in the House of Commons in late September that the Manipur violence was a silent attack on Christians in India that has received little attention from the UK government. Such a response is common across Western powers which are preoccupied with the war in Ukraine, and now Israel, need India to balance against China and did not wish to publicly derail India's presidency meeting of the G20 in September. Meanwhile, in an ever-worsening security situation in Manipur, the Kuki and Zo ethnic tribes are increasingly unified. One sign of this has been calls from the Kuki National Assembly to establish a separate administration that pulls together the various Zo ethnic tribes, mainly the Zomi, Kuki, Mizo and Mar. Although some efforts have been made to recover weapons taken from police stations, the sense that Meitei violence is still being condoned by the Manipur state government has accelerated these separatist demands. Such open schisms but also nascent political and ethnic unions could precipitate civil war. Despite the establishment of a buffer zone between Zo and Meitei territory, the lack of concerted action by the Indian government further emboldens such a course. India's Home Minister, Amit Shah's visit to Manipur for 3 days in late May had little meaningful impact on the situation. In addition, the Union Home Ministry set up a commission of inquiry in early September, but it will be completed in 6 months. Such an inquiry is of little succor to those in Manipur affected by daily ethnic violence. It may also signify a longer-term response by the Indian government that is unconcerned by violence propagated by majority Hindu groups against India's minorities. The deeper concern now is that New Delhi's near silence and apparent inertia on Manipur may spark ethnic violence in other parts of India's northeast where other tribal tensions are present. Meitei have outgrown their tribal social evolution. Nowadays in every corner, we have been discussing being tribal and indigenous in a confusing manner. In short, indigenous refers to being a native or the original inhabitant of a particular place whereas tribal refers to being a tribe possessing certain characteristics and qualities of basic social organization and value system. No doubt, many people use contextually these two terms i.e. tribe and indigenous synonymously. Whereas the identities of these two peoples are concerned, they are people of different socio-politico historical positions. As per ILO Convention No. 169, the description of indigenous people contains several elements which are not found in its description of tribal people, for instance historical continuity, 2, territorial connection, and 3, distinct social, economic, cultural and political institutions. In some cases, a group not only possesses tribal status but indigenous features also. On the other hand, one's indigeneity is permanent and cannot be erased, but the status of being a tribe will, in the course of time, vanish through a journey of gradual refinement, the so-called detribalization process. But, the status of their indigeneity will remain. It should be very clear that all tribal people are not indigenous and all indigenous are not tribal. Here, it may be mentioned that the question of indigenous people is very contextual and controversial everywhere. India cunningly accepts the term indigenous people on the ground that all those who have already settled before independence are indigenous people of India. So, original inhabitants of India and indigenous people of India become two different terminologies. Whatever the case, Meitei are claiming indigenous status as per ILO convention and no one dares to reject it. Because of this, the Indian government allows to implement the inner line permit system in Manipur, which is not permitted in any non-indigenous state. The ancestors of present-day Meitei clans such as Mungung, Luang, Cuman, Angam, Chinglei, Ningthija, Moirang were settled in different parts of valley area as independent principalities. They had their own chiefs with different identities, dress codes, dialects, territories, spiritual beliefs and traditions etc. Even though the then society of those principalities was obviously characterized by a tribal way of life, it is wrong to claim the much-evolved Meitei of present to be a tribe on the basis of social characteristics of their ancient early settlement. The evolution of Meitei civilization as a historical process, which had been taking place since Nongda Liran Pakangba, 33 AD, till the formation of nation-state around 11th century is inseparable from the emergence of the composite Meitei identity from the amalgamation of the earlier 7 clans. Fights between principalities had been occurring for many years to subjugate each other. Lastly, the Ningthija dynasty subdued all other groups and everything associated with all Saleh or clans such as myths, spiritual beliefs, dialects and social value systems was assimilated or absorbed into the composite Meitei ethnicity and identity. Since then, the consolidation and refinement of Meitei identity has come into existence. The British anthropologist and political agent of Manipur T.C. Hudson mentioned very clearly in his book, The Meiteis, that the successive waves of foreign invasion, Shan, Burmese, English, Hindu, have each left permanent marks on the civilization of the people so that they have passed finally away from the stage of relatively primitive culture into one of comparative civilization, but their ultimate homogeneity with Naga and Kookies of the hills is undoubted, and in my opinion needs no further instance. In fact, hill peoples had ensconced themselves in the highland regions, but Métis in the plain had incorporated many different communities in the Métis society and polity that the identity of the Métis as ethnos had incorporated mainland Indian Brahmins, Bengalis and Assamese merged in the social composition of the Métis community. That means Métis as historically understood is obviously a racially mixed identity forged through complex challenges of history and substantially advanced to produce a state and civilization unique to their soil. In many ways, without considering this journey of Métis detribalization process from prehistoric experiences to their transformation into nation-state, the claiming of being tribal status for the purpose of scheduled tribe status clearly smacks of intellectual and academic dishonesty. Even, as we see the differences between Western and Oriental civilizations with reference to modernization, technology, culture, economy and so on, some degree of comparative backwardness, mainly economic, cannot be a rational reason for Métis to be downgraded to tribal status. Colonial Census Report, indeed mentioned Métis as a Hindu tribe in the Census Report of 1931 and this has become the basis for claiming ST status by some sections of Métis society. However, the entry does reflect their biases or conflicts between census field officers and census decision-making authorities. The vivid example of this issue is that appendix page number 220 under subheading 2, Backward Tribe, Census of India 1931 Volume 3, Assam Part 1, report by C.S. Mullen, M.A., ICS mentions the question of the Manipuris of Sylhet and Kutchar requires special mention. These people are descendants of persons who originally emigrated from Manipur state and settled in those districts. They form an entirely separate community, a kind of Manipuri oasis in the plains and as the census officer, Silchar, has reported, they have their own society independent of general Hindu society. They call themselves Kshatriya by caste but have no intermarriage or dining with Hindus of any class. They are, however, making rapid strides towards progress and education. Mr. Gimson ICS, former Deputy Commissioner, Kutchar, who knows the Manipuris well has written as follows. I doubt whether the Manipuris of Kutchar ought to be classed as backward. They are intelligent and are taken to education and they are free from most of the habits, i.e. overindulgence in opium and liquor, which tend to perpetuate the backwardness of other backward classes. The Manipuris of Kutchar and Sylhet are really a people apart, they are foreigners who have settled in a strange land and have kept very much to themselves, preserving their own culture and their own language. Another peculiar fact about these Manipuris is that although the majority are devout Hindus, there are also many Muslims among them. They must, in my opinion, be considered rather as a community requiring special treatment than as a backward race. It is not surprising to find that, after independence, in the census 1951, Métis were delisted from the tribal category after scrutinizing the irregularities or misconceptions done during the colonization period. This write-up is just a brief ethnography. Even this sketchy write-up clearly shows that the Métis have long outgrown their tribal social evolutionary stage long ago. Dragging back the Métis who developed and attained a civilization as well as a nation-state centuries ago, to a tribal status is just like turning the clock back, distorting history and disrespectful of the pride of a people who have their own script, language in the 8th schedule of the Constitution and have a dance form, which is one of India's few classical dances. Excerpts from Ukral Times. Dr. Arambam Bairajit can be reached at abrijit@rediffmail.com. Kookies womenfolk hold sit-in protest at Wall of Remembrance site. The Kuki women on Wednesday held a sit-in protest against the ethnic cleansing pogrom unleashed by the majority Métis on Kookies community. The women were seen holding placards which read Manipur government is pro-Métis, we are overqualified to get our political demand, our struggle is not over until Kookies land is free, Biren, don't ever think you can suppress us, don't think FIRS can erase Kookies' rightful place in history. While addressing the gathering, the convener of ZO United, Albert Renthlier, said he was disheartened to see many displaced Kookies. However, he said, God must have a plan which the people could not yet understand. He also lauded the Kookies womenfolk for tirelessly participating and contributing their parts in the present conflict despite their busy household chores. He then appealed to the womenfolk to talk to their respective husbands and families on the need of uniting as one in facing a common enemy.